Have you ever stopped to really think about what you value, what your needs are? I told you earlier this week I had my individual counseling appointment, and I was talking to my therapist, and I explained to her that I value freedom, independence, and adventure. This morning we had our couples counseling, and our therapist asked how the week was. I told her it had been good. We had a long, transparent conversation, just talking about needs. And I realized that earlier I had told my husband that I needed space. And in our conversation, that was incorrect. It was no longer space that I needed, it was change. That goes to that, I think, adventure part. I like change. He struggled to, at times, gauge how I'm feeling, especially, I think, in the last few years. He may come and be like, hey, do you need anything? Are you all right? And perimenopause, one day I might be great, the next day is something else. So I said to him, hey, instead of asking me if I need anything, why don't you tell me what it is that you need? So we shared that with her this morning. She said, oh, that's good. She said, well, I'm glad you guys talked about that because that's what I want to talk about today. This was so insightful and eye-opening. I think we know what we need, but sometimes we don't. We don't even know what we like. We know what we dislike, but we don't know what we like. Here is printout from today's session, and it's the needs wheel. It's a big wheel, and it has several different areas, and it breaks them down, looks at them deeper. She asked us to name off what our needs are, and I said autonomy. As you break down autonomy a little bit more, you have independence, freedom, strength, privacy. And so she asked which one of the four. I said freedom. Earlier this week, thought these were things that I valued, but these are my needs. What I thought were career values, they're my needs as a person, my basic needs. When you start to talk about your emotional and your mental needs, have we stopped to really think about those? I haven't. Have you? Are you in touch with what you need to feel whole as an individual? Or are you still just running on autopilot and focused on everybody else's needs? I'm going to guess the latter, because when do we stop to really focus on what we need? Another conversation that I had with my individual therapist a couple of weeks ago, I told her the question that I asked of myself: why is healing so difficult? I told you that I'm on this journey of healing from burnout, transforming my life, all of that. But yet I have been so flippin' impatient. Why am I not allowing myself to heal? When I had surgery a few years ago, all I could think of is, I don't want to be down. I don't want to be stuck. When I brought it up in my individual counseling, I said, why is it so difficult for us to allow ourselves to heal? And my therapist said, because we don't like to feel pain. We want to rush it. We don't want to feel the physical effects of maybe the surgery, whatever, emotionally, mentally. We don't want to deal with that. So we want to rush through it. And we're never going to heal if we don't take the time to do it. You can't keep repeating the same patterns and behaviors and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. At what point do you begin to break the cycle? When do you say, enough is enough? I am tired of running on autopilot. I am tired of settling. I am tired of just this as it pertains to life. There is so much more that we can attain. There is so much more life than maybe what we see. We see people on TV, on social media, whatever, and they look like, wow, they are living a good life. I wish I had that life, but we don't know the struggles. We don't know what their journey was to get to that. And so we have to not fall into the comparison traps because we don't know. All we see is the end results. We see what look like the blessings, but we don't know the time that it took for them to get to where they are. I was telling my husband that this round of counseling that I'm in has been transformative and helpful for me. I think first and foremost, it's been transformative because I wanted it, because I needed it. I made an intentional effort. I wanted to have a Black woman therapist. I advocated for myself. I wanted someone who looked like me, who understood my struggles, where I was at, who would hopefully not minimize them, would validate me in what I was feeling, would tell me, no, maybe you need to check yourself. Why are you doing this? And so going into the therapy, I knew that's what I wanted. And so I encourage you to begin to just stop and say, I need a change. Enough is enough. It is going to be uncomfortable as all get out. There are times, I keep telling y'all, I tell y'all everything pretty much, like how I have been stuck, how I've just been paralyzed with fear and overwhelm, and I don't want to fail. Failure isn't the issue. Failure actually helps you because you learn, all right, this didn't work. Let me get up. Let me try again. It's the getting up that matters. It's the trying again. But I've allowed it to paralyze me. I've allowed it to stop me. I've allowed it to make me even consider something that isn't going to move me towards the direction that I want to go because of how painful it is to move through it. I told you before, hooked in the rut. This is the fire that we have to walk through sometimes to get to the other side. And I just want to hop over it or go under it and look, hopping over it, if you think about it, hopping over it takes a longer time than to go through it. It's a shorter cut. This is the shortcut. Now, you got to go through some fire. You got to knock down some walls to get there. But geez, it's going to actually get me there faster than if I go up and around. Maybe if I wanted to try to go that way, but who knows what's down there and what's waiting. So my point is, you can't take the shortcut. You can't take what you think is the easy route. It might be easy temporarily, but is it going to give you that long-term satisfaction that you're looking for, that fulfillment? Is it going to grow you? Is it going to stretch you? Or is it going to keep you the same? And now you've just come over and gotten to this point. But when you've gotten to it, you've brought all of your baggage and everything with you. And so you're ill-equipped to be in this new place that you've been praying for. You pray for a husband, you pray for a partner, someone who you don't have to go alone with, but yet you haven't healed from the trauma and the baggage from your last relationship. You're too afraid to be alone for a little bit, and so you just want somebody, anybody, and so you just keep repeating the cycle. My case, don't want to really work for anybody, and whatever, you're tired of poor leadership. You want to do your own thing, but geez, you have some boxes that you have to check and don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you are everything as an entrepreneur. You are the technician, you're the administrative person, you're the marketer, you're all of those things. And man, that's a lot of hats. But you know what? When you start working through something that you don't have the experience for, and you continue with it and you stay consistent, guess what you develop? You develop that experience. So I just want to encourage you to stop. You have to stop to even begin to realize what it is that you need. Maybe if you can't stop, slow down. I'm big on trying to make little steps. And that's because I used to be all or nothing. And I am learning it's incremental. It's a little bit, just a little bit, because if we try to bite it all off at once or tackle it all at once, we are going to fail. we're going to overwhelm ourselves. We're going to be met with probably initial defeat that is going to discourage us and prevent us from moving forward. And so you have to start small. If you can't stop and your situation hasn't gotten you to the point that you're just like, stop, all you can do is slow down. Remember, it's not about what you can add on to your plate all the time. And in terms of changing and trying to live a more intentional life, sometimes it's more about what you can subtract and remove from your plate. Everybody's situation, everybody's journey looks different. You know what you need. So begin there. Just slow down. I feel very empowered and optimistic. I do. Today it's starting off to be a good day. It's a dreary day. It's cold, but it's starting off to be a good day because this is because of intention. This is what your life starts to begin to look like when you slow down, when you become intentional about changing. Let me tell you, it's difficult. It's hard, it's overwhelming, especially when you're alone and you're doing it by yourself and everybody around you is still in the same mode of operation, still doing their things, and you feel like, I'm just over here and I'm the only one who wants to change. It's like that, but it's all right because you're doing it for you. You're doing it to please God, and your journey is your journey. So I just want to encourage you to begin to be intentional, to begin to just slow down so you can figure out what you need. Don't wait to slow down because life slows you down, because you've been stricken with a physical illness, because that will completely slow you down. Don't wait to do that. You have the opportunity to start now. You know that there is something misaligned in your life. Take that first step. Feel free to reach out to me if you need someone to talk to. I am here. I know what it is like to feel alone and wanting some change and just like, who can I talk to? Who understands what I'm going through? I do. I'm in the midst of it. I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. So please be encouraged to slow down, to start thinking about what it is you need and want out of life. I'll talk to you tomorrow.